Usually the olives arrive here, and the first check we do is a little bit the temperature. In a few minutes we will get another bin with other olives so we can see the temperature. Ideally it would be nice if the temperature would be like around 24, 26 degrees. Today is a hot day, so probably it's going to be a little bit higher. And also the olives get in these bins, and they go in this container. Now from this container we can actually regulate the amount of olive we process per minute, and that is the regulation. So if we really want to push and be very fast, we can process quite a bit, but I rather we don't have many bins to do, so I rather keep the speed not too high, so we actually have the entire line. Now we are full organic, so the only thing we use to fight the fly, the olive fly, is kaoli. Kaoli is a dust. It's basically dust of rocks. And so it's nice that we wash the olives from this dust before they enter the extraction. So the olives comes over here, and first thing obviously we need to separate the olives from the leaves. Now some people like to do that in the field. However, to have some leaves in the beans together with the olives, keep the olives a little bit more ventilated, so they are not like especially in the large bean pressed all together. So, you know, again, some people like to do that in the field and come here with very clean beans. Based on my experience, to have some leaves is not too bad. So the olives are heavy and the leaves are also very light. So this is an air blower, so it blows air, and so the leaves and the small branches fly away, and we collect them down here. We don't have many now because we have only like started yesterday, first day. But at the end of the season here we have a huge amount of olives where kids like to jump in and have fun. And so the branches and the leaves are going to go out, and we then at the end of the season we distribute like the leaves in the fields because they are organic matter. And so the olives fall right here. Sometimes there are rocks and heavy branches, so technically the rocks would fall here, and then we can clean at the end of the day. So this is actually a trap for the rocks. While the olives are actually moving in this section, and in this section we have water and air. So it's water with the air bubbles, and so the olives get very well washed. So the first wash, and here from this glass later on when everything is working you can see it, but you will control the olives. And here we have a second section where we spray some clean water to complete the washing right here, and here is where we dry them because we don't want to have too much water. And so this is another air blower. Air is actually going around and blowing on the olives, so it dries the washing water. Over here the olives will fall in this container. So we can check if there are still some leaves, obviously. I mean, some heavy leaves, but most of them have been removed. And we check, the olives if they are clean. Another net here just to catch if there are some remaining branches. Sometimes the teams are very fast, so they don't clean it too much. So, I'm not concerned about leaves. I'm more concerned about wood branches, so that is where we really want to do. And then here is a screw, and then the olives enter the crusher, and this is the most important machine of the entire line. Everything basically from the most recent research is actually happening here. So here the olive probably stay in the crusher, what, 5 seconds, 10 seconds maximum. But during those 10 seconds, everything happens, because the most recent research has shown that first, you activate the enzymes that transform the polyphenols from water soluble to olive oil soluble. So usually in an olive you have polyphenol concentration of 10,000, 20,000, but those polyphenols are water soluble. So if you don't activate the enzymes to transform the molecule to be able to be dissolved in olive oil, all the polyphenols will just go away during extraction. And so, second things, all the aromas, the scent will be developed in here. So the way this machine works is very critical. Now, it's a crusher, so it has like a turbine with blades, and the blades are crushing, cut, they are very sharp, and they cut the olives as well as the pit. The pit gets cut. So now there are some theories that it's better to remove the pit first and then process the olives. Some people say that by doing that you open the olives, so you expose the olive to oxidation. And so most recent research, at least from Servili, that was one of the
Professor Servili.
Yeah, Professor Servili has shown that the best way is really to crush them. And this machine is fully refrigerated, so if you touch it, it's actually cold, because obviously you want to keep the temperature very low here, because if you don't cool it, it goes like 35, 36 degrees. And so that is a refrigerator, kind of crushers, refrigerated. So it's basically a double, so the interior housing, there is an interior housing and exterior housing, and in between the two housing there is a empty space where the refrigerating liquid is just water, is circulating. So they have developed, this one was developed by Mori-Tem before, like 5 to probably 6 to 7 years ago. There was no such thing as refrigerating the crusher. Now they have a new evolution where basically not just you have blades that are rotating but also oscillating. So they have this new crusher they are starting, it may be even better. This has 5 years. This is 5 years old. So this is 5 years old.
All the line is made by Mori.
All Mori, yeah. So another thing they're doing, especially in hot days, they refrigerate also the washing water. However, in my opinion as an engineer, the olives stay in contact with the washing water probably like 3 to 5 seconds when it gets washed, because it goes through the line. So even if say the olive is at 36 degrees, the water is at 10 degrees, in 5 seconds I think the delta is not enough to penetrate very deep into the olive, so it's probably just the surface. It could be good, but I don't think it's more like a waste of energy in my opinion. It's very critical though, wherever you have moving parts, you create friction, and so there is where you really need to keep the temperature down. The next step is obviously here you create the paste. So you create the crushed olive, the paste, and the paste get pumped into the malaxers. Okay. So now here is back in the days you would have in many other lines like House or Iralisi, they had a big heat exchanger here, like, so this pipe is actually doing a lot of up and downs, and so the temperatures from the paste is removed through this heat exchanger. Mori started doing 5 years ago. This is basically a small malaxer, which is also refrigerated. It's also a double housing, so exterior, interior housing, and refrigerating liquid. So instead of having a long pipe, we thought about having all, initially everything being processed through this small container. It's called Flavour. There are some pros and cons. The pros is that you can really control the temperature very well. The cons is that it's not control atmosphere, so the paste gets a little bit oxidated over here, so you may lose a little bit of polyphenols here because of oxidation. So all the other producers, they have a heat, basically, if you order it, they have a heat exchanger right here, like a traditional heat exchanger.
Okay.
Yeah, another option I was thinking actually is this pipe. Now, instead of using like rubber, use a stainless steel pipe with also double housing and have all the refrigerating liquid also circulating.
Okay.
But yeah, so these are for later on we can explain. But these are the argon,
argon
containers. But that's for later on. So now we built this thing that was not here before, and actually inside that was the living previous owner. We bought this 5 years ago on the farm. The previous owner had the living room, like the table, the area where he was working. And as a mechanical engineer, when I came in, I took everything out of the living room and put the extraction line. So those are the two malaxers. So the blue pipe is coming in, and then I can decide if I want to have the paste pumped in the first or in the second one. They contain about 400 kilograms of paste. So about 2 bins of olives is one malaxer. Also here there are different opinions about malaxing vertically. These are called vertical malaxer because the paste comes in on the top, goes and exits on the bottom. There are other malaxers that are horizontal, so the paste comes in on the left and goes out on the right.
Yeah.
Mori likes this system. The only drawback of this system it may be that it may create stratification. So there is more pressure on the paste on the bottom rather than on the paste on the top because the pressure. So it's actually, it may stratify the different things. So in the new version they have a circulator, so it takes the paste from the bottom and also circulates on the top the paste. I don't have that option on this one. And also those are double housing with refrigerating liquid circulating to keep the temperature controlled in both of them. If you go on the stairs and go up, there is a glass window on the top where you can see the paste, and I use that to control if I can start forming the first drops of olive oil. One of the two, unfortunately, the LED is blocked, so you cannot see it right now. But if you want to go up, you can see from this one. From those windows, I can see olive oils forming, because this is, I think, that is the most critical one, but this one also very important for the temperature and time. We are at the beginning of the season, so I keep the temperature between 24, 25, 26, and malaxing time 25 minutes, then up to 30 minutes. At the end of the season, 5 minutes is good enough. And temperature a little bit even lower the paste that's up here, you can see the paste going through, and this is the decanter. This is a small decanter. It can cost 750 kilograms per hour. Industrial decanters can do like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. But this is good for our business. We don't have as much. So the olive oils that's out here. Right now, it's at the beginning of the season, so it's very clean. Because contains a lot of chlorophyll. A lot of chlorophyll. The green you see is because of the chlorophyll. And as you can see, now when we do the tasting, dust is not green. The dust contains still some particles. So let's go outside. So on two different approaches. You can either use filters or another centrifuge, which is called separator. So after the decanter, usually in regular mills, you have another centrifuge that is basically separating those remaining small particles and maybe like a 1-2% of water from the olive oil. Mori is very much against that because for two reasons. One, the temperature may get up again because of the friction, and two, oxidation, because you have air in there, so the olive oil gets oxidized. Instead, Mori, from the time the olive oil exits the decanter, he doesn't want the olive oil to be in contact with oxygen anymore. So it goes to the filters and then in the tank directly, which is all under argon gas, and so there is no air whatsoever for oxidation. The filters work this way, very interesting. So this is a typical filter. They work in parallel, not in series. So the olive oil comes in here, and there is a little bit of a hole here, so it gets inside and exits from these small holes here, and on one side and on the other side. And then it starts flowing through all these channels, throughout the filters, all these channels here, okay? And you have to imagine there is always another filter on the other side, okay? So, now you have the olive oil entering here and is distributing through all the surface. In between you put a piece of paper, actually it's paper, this is food grade paper, and because of the pressure, the olive oil starts flowing through the paper. And the paper captures all the impurities plus some degree of water. On the other side of the paper, you have clean olive oil, which will distribute on this surface, enter these small holes, and exit from here. So you have the olive oil coming in here, distributing on both surfaces, going through the paper, distributing on the opposite surfaces, and coming out here. We have 2 degrees of filtration, the coarse and the fine, and you will see that in the filter in a second. So we remove with the coarse, we remove some of the biggest particles, and with the fine, even the smallest one. Okay? So olive oil is fine. With the pump, it goes in here. Here is where you got all the, it's like a pipe, all hollow, and every other filter goes through those small holes. And so the direction right now, if you consider this filter, it comes out from this filter, go through the paper in both directions, get collected in this filter, and then travels here. 2 stages, core stage and then refinement stage. And this is how you see it after it's fully filtered. Okay? Very, very good. So this olive oil will be, if you keep it under argon gas, because it does not have any water and any impurities, 18 months is going to be perfect. That olive oil is very good now. In 1 week from now, it starts degrading very fast. Some people in Tuscany like unfiltered because they think it's actually, but it's good now. All the water and particles start the fermentation because there are bacteria that are anaerobic, so they work in the water, and so they start degrading the olive oil. And then you can start smelling the smell of the new olive oil here.
Yeah.
And all these containers are full, filled with argon gas. Some some company do nitrogen and but because it's cheaper. However, nitrogen is lighter than oxygen. So if you let them rest and you still have some oxygen in your tank, the oxygen will go down and touch the olive oil, and the nitrogen will go up. Argon is opposite. Argon is heavier than oxygen. So if you let them rest, the argon goes down and creates a perfect seal on top of the olive oil, and then even if there is some oxygen, it will go up. So this is why we use argon. It's way more expensive, and for our endeavor that we are trying to do high quality is very important. However, most mills are just using nitrogen because it's cheaper. Argon is in the air. It's just nitrogen is 75% in the air. Argon is less than 1%. So when we bottle, every time we bottle, we also put in the bottle argon gas. And also in the bagging boxes, we put argon gas. So at least, as long as the bottle doesn't get open, and even if there is some oxygen and it stays vertical again, on the top of the bottle, you always have argon gas. Now, when you get open and you start pouring, then obviously it goes away. And I'm actually trying to figure out a way, because the only problem of the bagging, I love bagging box, I use them all the time, but there are some clients, they don't like the plastic. Even if it's certified and everything is fine. So I'm thinking about making 5 liters glass container with a small tank of CO2 nearby. So when you start putting the olive oil, the CO2 with the valve, the CO2 will go inside the glass, and so it will be always not air. Plus the container is made out of glass. In addition, we try to keep the olive oil in the container as much as we can, so we only bottle when we have a quarter, instead of bottling everything and then keeping them in bottles, because in my opinion, the olive oil is better conserved here. Well, this room is always at 14 degrees all year long, no light, anyway, there is argon gas, stainless steel that has been used a few years, so it doesn't have any residual from metal working or stuff. We clean them very thoroughly as soon as they get empty. We clean them with citric acid and hot water at 70 degrees. That's what we use. Some people suggest to use some special soap for food grade, but I'm a little bit afraid that maybe messing up with the taste or the scent of the olive oil. Not too much too concerned about health, because we are full organic. We try really to keep all possible contaminants away. So, and to be honest, even if there is some minimal plastic, I think it's in our drinking water. It's everywhere we say plastic. So it's almost impossible to find it. Now, these pipes are, these rubber pipes are, they are all certified to be from FDA. They are phthalates free, BPA free. They have 2 European certification. They have the FDA certification. So the piping. So what we have in plastic are the bins where we collect the olives and the nets that are on the ground where the olive grows. The bins, the blue pipe that goes from outside to inside, but is the same brand. The pump that is pumping the olive oil, not the rotating part, but the static part has some plastic in it, and that's basically all the plastic we have. The filters. But what I was told from Dr. Salivaras which is running also plastic analysis for residual for all our olive oils, is that the dangerous part are what are flexible. Because hard plastic, food grade hard plastic is very good and does not release anything. Flexible, to make plastic flexible, they use these phthalates, and that may actually get transferred into the olive oil. Because olive oil is not like just water. Maybe something that is good for water is not good for olive oil, because olive oil is solvent. So it may actually enhance the capability to take some of the plastic into the olive oil. The paste, the water, and so on gets pumped out. The olive oil there, all the residual here, gets pumped out, and it ends up in that container, and then we spread it in the fields as fertilizer. It's very strong though, you have to be careful, because this one contains all the polyphenols that were in the olive that didn't go in the olive oil are here. So actually this product, if you are interested in polyphenol, you have to work on this, because this contains 90% more polyphenol than, no, 90% of the polyphenols that are in the olives, they are here. Only 10% goes in the olive oil. So with that stuff, because I clean it, like my skin feels like a baby skin, because that is very strong, but it's so rich on antioxidants.
It's like a natural cosmetic.
Yeah, it is. So my sister Chiara is thinking about doing something, because we just use it as a fertilizer, and we have to be careful, because if you put that too close to the trees, actually it's too strong, and it may actually kill the tree. So you have to leave it in the middle of the field and then mix with earth and let it rest. So yeah, this is the oil. Temperature is not too bad, you can put your hand. And I like to have some leaves, so they actually keep air in between olives.
So now they are starting to change the color.
Yes, exactly. This is the right period to start harvesting for an early harvest. We will do lecino. This is blend. So it's a mixture of lecino, moraiolo, frantoio, pendolino. So it's mixed, because back in the day they would just put the tree randomly. So when you collect, you cannot. It's actually mixed. But tomorrow we are not harvesting. Monday we will start with the lecino, and that is a little bit even greener. But you can see, like this is a nice olive where you can see the changing of the color. You see, and
it's the purple, green, and the next purple and black.
Yeah. Black thing we will get it from the tree, but that thing tomorrow is going to be black. It's so strong. There are actually oxygen in the air. It's like when you open an apple and you leave it there like for a few hours, it gets black immediately. Because oxidation is there. 90% of our product there.
Sure.
Only 10-15% is olive oil, and 85 to 90% goes there. And then water. All the trees around this hill. The lecino tree were planted 98, 99, 2000, so about 25 years, lecino trees. And when we bought the farm, there were about 5,000 trees, and we planted another 5,000 all in the front area, so we are now around 10,000.
10,000. And most of them are lecino, or not?
How many lecino? Probably 2,000, 3,000. Well, more, because in these fields there is also lecino, but it's all mixed up.
Okay.
Mono varietal, about 2,000, where we can really collect lecino. Those are lecino trees as well. The one above the lake, all those trees are lecino. Yeah, about 2,000 that we can really harvest pure, like 100%.
And do you use also the lake, for example, to take a water to watering the trees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This summer, not too much because we had actually unusual rain. In fact, I'm a little bit concerned because one thing is sure, the less water you give, the more polyphenol, the more water, the less polyphenol. So I'm curious to see the results now because I expect not so high polyphenols as last year because we had a lot of rain in July, August and September.
Okay.
Last year, no rain at all, and we irrigated all with the water from the lake. In fact, if you go and check the lake, the water level is very high because it rained and we didn't use water. So,
Okay. Is it possible to not irrigate at all?
it is.
It is.
It is. However, if you get a summer like last year, very dry, the trees would suffer too much, and the olive oil would be extremely rich on polyphenol, but no aromas,
Okay.
no specific tasting.
Right.
So research has shown that a little bit of water is required to really have high quality in terms of aroma and taste. If you
Okay.
just look at polyphenols, you don't irrigate, but also the yield is not going to be as good because a little bit of water helps also the development of fat inside the olives.
Okay.
So from here I can control all the parameters of the line. Okay, so now one warning: the temperature sensor 1, 2, 3, and 4 are completely off. I need to replace them. Probably during the winter time something happened because they show you 100 degrees, 100 degrees, so it means they are not working properly. However, okay, so this is the line, this is the crusher. Right now is rotating at 3,950 RPM, so almost to the limit of 4,000 because I'm trying to get this first olive oil with a lot of polyphenol. Power absorbed is about 4.5 kilowatts right now. This is the rotation of the screw that is bringing the olives in the crusher. From here I can regulate the amount of olives. I like not to fill the crusher too much because I don't have to process tons of olives. So, now here you can control only the temperature of the crusher, the crusher and of this container. These are the pumps that are circulating the refrigerator. Now, because of the sensor are off, they keep running all the time. Otherwise, they would have a PID controlling the temperature. From here, now you have the pump that is pumping the paste in the containers. I can see the temperature, again, not right. The pressure, very important, the pressure, because sometimes the wood part creates a clog, and this pressure will go, it can explode. So it actually stops the entire line if the pressure goes above 6 bar. 6 bar and then stops everything in the middle. This is the RPM of the pump. So how much paste are you pumping in? Now here, you can, these are the two containers. I can control the temperature. Right now is between, this is the coolant temperature and this is the temperature of the paste. So it's between 24 and 26. It's good. Now this is empty, so the coolant is actually going down. The other thing I can control is the vacuum. If I want, I can have vacuum inside the... Now, one of the slides really showed was very interesting because it was showing the difference in olive oil formation if you use vacuum. I'm not using it because so far I haven't had any problems where I really need to try to use vacuum to increase the polyphenol. So to be honest, I'm not using it. But I do have the option to go negative in pressure inside the container. This is the time that is requiring to filling, and then the time, very critical, I keep the malaxin. Then I can exit. This is the amount of kilogram per hour of paste I process. Pressure and temperature right now is wrong because there is no actually paste flowing, so it's just staying there. I'm not extracting. So, and here is also very critical is hertz at which the counter is rotating. Later on, when everything is over, I can open. I can show you inside. And this is the pump that is pushing all the residual outside. And this is the temperature of the olive oil. Right now there is no olive oil, so but when it exits, we will see temperature. So from here I can check everything. The most important adjustments I do are the RPM of the crusher, the temperature set point of the malaxer, amount of time I malax, the flow of the paste from the malaxer into the counter, very important. I keep changing that all the time. The hertz of the decanter. So all these parameters are the one I keep changing based on what type of olives, what is the temperature outside today, degree of ripeness of the olives, variety of the olives. I really would like to implement an AI that does that work in a much better way, because there are so many parameters and it's all based on my experience. But I'm pretty sure if I put sensor, that color sensor, if we could measure on the fly polyphenols, like know in the real time what the polyphenols are, and have that in a loop, like a feedback loop, that would be awesome. And I let it dry, and I make some olive oil that I keep them again. Some other companies, they have a machine to squeeze them and really get oil out of it. I'll show you how to keep them. This is the particles, the dirty part, and this is clean because obviously olive oil comes out on this side, but now it's heavy because it contains some olive oil. And so some company actually, they put this thing in a press and they squeeze it and they get out some olive oil, but I don't do because that olive oil would be good for, I don't know, cooking or something, but no. For all day, and then all of a sudden within like 5 minutes, it will start going up. When it gets to, oh, I know what to do. When it gets to 2, I change everything. Okay. It means we create vacuum, so even if there is some air that's removed from the bed, then we the valve is opening, so the olive oil gets pumped inside, and then so with the green pot we fill with argon gas. So it's not fully automatic, but with this machine we can do in one day 2 people can do 1,000 days. So we with the bottle, it gets filled with olive oil. This is a valve, so it exactly fills the bottle the right amount. That machine is actually measuring how much olive oil, as a flow meter, how much olive oil gets in each bag. This one is automatic. When the olive oil gets to the top of the bottle, then no more olive is inside. And then we move the bottle here. We pump argon gas and then the cap. This is the heat. These are heat is very good. Basically, is good. The heat that get crushed, water, and you can see a little bit of olive oil. So not 100% was extracted. So there is some waste here. In fact, some big factories, they process this again and make the oil that is used, for example, for tuna fish, for the cans. That's where the olive oil comes out, okay? So this regulation is very critical because the deeper you go, the cleaner is the olive oil. But if you unscrew too much, you will get a lot of dirt down here. So this is basically, this is a regulation, so this penetrates because of the centrifugal force. You will have three rings forming. The outside ring, which is heavier, is the pomace. The middle ring is the water, and the inner ring, which is the lighter, is the olive oil. It's like when you put, if you put that in a glass and you leave it there like a week, you will see, because of the gravity, on the bottom, the pomace, in the middle water, and on the top olive oil. The centrifugal force act like gravity, but much more accelerated, much more heavier. And so inside this cylinder, you will have an outside ring, the pomace, and you penetrate that one. Then you have another ring with water, penetrate that one, and then this is just getting into the olive oil ring. But the depth, the regulation of the depth is very critical. So the beginning of the season has to go all the way in, and then the more ripe, the riper are the olives, the more outside you have to do it. And every day I have to guess, because if I set this wrong, either I lose a lot of olive oil because it's too deep, and so the olive oil just flows away, or I get olive oil very dirty, so I will need to use a lot of filters to filter it. And if I stop the machine, the whole process of stopping the machine and starting again is about 15 minutes. So the first couple of years I could not get this right anytime, so it was bad. Now it's much easier. Now it's, and right now you see only 1/4 rotation, and that's the maximum. So the regulation I made today was just unscrew 90 degrees. Probably towards the end of the week I will go half turn, so 180. Early next week I will go probably 270, and then 360 in 10 days from now, and so on and so on. But to do really high quality olive oil, tomorrow morning, if I don't clean, this is water with a lot of bacteria inside, all these drops, and this will start fermenting through the night, and tomorrow morning smells bad. And the olive oil will take that bad taste if you don't clean everything very precisely. They were doing at the beginning of the day organic, and then at the end of the day normal. So normal, but then at the end they would also need to clean the line. However, if they would mix between organic and non-organic, after non-organic you have to clean everything.
Okay.
And so right now, this is what happens. This is mostly water now, but this is actually what happens when the machine, you have to imagine this rotating at 3000 RPM, and the olive oil comes out like that from those holes, right? And then it goes down and comes out here. Now you have, mixed olive oil, water, paste, all things together. And then the pomace comes out from these holes and then goes down, and that's so very important to clean well everything at the end of each day. the washing process to be a little bit better, more automatic. You see,
Okay.
okay, so now this hole, which corresponds to this one, you see the inside cylinder position is like a screw and is here. Now if I keep rotating, you will see that moving. So now it's a little bit closer. 1, 2. You see, even closer to the bottom. Because the inside cylinder rotates a little even closer. The inside cylinder rotates a different RPM than outside. So there is kind of a differential rotation which allows for the paste to travel from enter to exit. So the inside cylinder and outside. And then this is the gearbox. This is a 1 to 18 gearbox. So when the one outside rotates at 3000 RPM, the one inside rotates at like 2900 RPM. So to empty one malaxer with this one, it takes like 20-30 minutes. This is the size that is good for us, for what we need. It does have this small drawback that it takes a little bit more time to process the entire content of one malaxer.
I saw in some producers in Greece the open machinery, the open. I think it's not good idea because the air comes.
Exactly,
oxidations.
Yeah.
So in the mass production, they use the same technology, or rather.
In mass production, they have same principles, centrifuge, but they also add quite a lot of water together. They mix what is called, so this is called two-phase, because we only have two exits. We have one exit with olive oil and one exit with wet pomace.
Okay.
But they also have three-phase, which means they have three exits. They have olive oil, water, and dry pomace. And so they are able to separate, first of all, they add quite a bit of water together with the paste. So they mix paste and water. So in other words, the water ring in between pomace and oil in the centrifuge is much larger. So it makes a better separation between olive oil and pomace. But the water removes all the aromas, all the polyphenols. So for mass production is better because you process easier and faster. But for quality, no. Three-phase is not as. This is what recent research has shown that two-phase is much better to preserve all the quality of the olive oil. Adding water is not a good idea, except if the olives are really dry, because maybe a very dry summer, you don't irrigate, so the paste is really dry, so you have to add a little bit of water, otherwise you don't get any olive oil. Otherwise, like these olives, they don't really want no water at all. They are perfect as they are.
So in the mass production, the olive oil could contain some water.
Well, they have another centrifuge after that one. They have another centrifuge just to separate the remaining water from the olive oil. So the answer is technically no. But they have two centrifuges, that one and a vertical centrifuge here, just to remove the remaining water from the olive oil. And again, the olive in the air get more oxidized, more heated, so it's not really ideal. At least what Mori says is always not to use the second centrifuge because you will kill the olive oil.
Okay.
Our farm is like that.
It's like that.
It's our farm like that. So one olive tree gives you 10 kilograms of olives. And so then 10% is 1 liter of olive oil.
Okay.
However, other farms, they keep like in southern Italy, they keep the olive trees much bigger and much higher, and so they go harvesting even either with the shaker. They grab the entire tree and they shake the tree, and all the olives fall. So you need to use ladders to go high and pick the olives on the top. Those trees can produce up to 100 kilograms, so 10 liters per tree.
But for example, if you harvest in January, The fruits are larger. You can press much more.
20%. You can
20%.
go 25%.
25%.
Yeah, with the olive oil.
And difference between the organic cultivation, the normal, you can press the same quantity, or in organic cultivation you.
I think the quantity is the same.
Is
The
the
only
same.
problem in organic, you cannot really weigh very much because the fly either puncture the olives, and if you don't have any pesticide, it's going to destroy your harvest pretty soon.
Okay.
Because the fly, like this season, is perfect for the fly. Like cold nights, they can reproduce very fast, put in all the eggs in all the olives, and then you cannot do very much. So while traditional, you can spray and kill everything.
So in organic cultivation you use only the kaolin
Kaolin, yes.
and nothing else.
So, however, the big difference is that if for some reason you didn't protect well and the fly broke your barriers, like with drones, they broke your barriers, then you can't do much in organic to kill them.
Okay.
And big difference from traditional, where you can actually intervene even after the attack. And even if they have penetrated the olives, you spray this thing, the thing penetrates the olive, kills the larvae, and then get absorbed by the trees. And I think after they have 30 days mandatory wait time, or 20 days, and then you can harvest, and there should be no trace left in the olives.
Okay.
In the tree and in the soil is different, because those are products that are designed to go from the top of the tree to the roots. So you spray, get absorbed in the fruit goes into the stem goes into the branch down the tree and down the roots. So this is the way it's metabolized by the tree.
Okay.
But one of these products was recently, it's called, the chemical compound is dimetoat. And that one has been banned by the European Union in 2020. It was used everywhere in the entire Mediterranean area by all the farmers. And the European Union banned that in 2020 because they found this cancerogenic, especially for the people working in the field. That they use masks and everything, but it's very dangerous. So it's banned now officially. As far as I understood is, when the fly touches the olives, feels the surface is different from what she expects, and kind of flies away because it doesn't feel it is an olive to be punctured. It feels like, I don't know, it's not what the fly is expected to feel. So it's making confusion, I guess, for the fly, because the surface is no longer like expected to be. So I think the chemicals, they have two things. One is the chemical that keeps the fly away, but then I think the pesticide is simply killing the fly and the larvae. Because it's not just staying outside, penetrates the olive. So even if the fly put the egg inside the olive, this product penetrates the olives and kills the egg.
Okay.
So,
and the organic cultivation is much more expensive.
Yes.
It's about 20%, 30%.
I would say at least 30%. At least.
At least 30%.
30%, at least. If
So-
done correctly, I think it's at least 30%.
So
Except if you do organic with quality. Quality organic is 30%. Organic, like you don't do anything. There are like the lady came to lunch today. She doesn't want to do anything. It's just totally organic, because she doesn't do like fertilizer, doesn't do any kaolin, nothing, like the olives as they are. And in that case, the olive oil cannot be the same high quality, because some olives have been punctured, the larvae created a tunnel, so oxidation is high. So it's a healthy olive oil, but not top quality.
So the organic products, finally the price should be minimum 30%.
I think so. Quality, organic quality
organic
product,
quality.
yes, compared to normal
Compared to
quality.
normal.
Yeah, organic, no quality, not much.
Okay. And the PGI or the certification is also the cost for the
Cost is
producer.
about, I made the math, and is roughly on the bottle of 500 milliliters is 1.5 euros per bottle.
Only for the certification process.
The cost
PGI.
per bottle.
Per bottle,
the
for
cost
PGI.
PGI certification, the label, everything is about 1.5 euros per bottle.
And the quality of the bottles, and it's also the cost, because some of the producers using the plastic is very cheap.
Already at 2.5, 3.5, 3.90.
390.
3.90. The cap is around 70, 60 cents. So we are at 4.50. And then the labor to bottle is, not very much, but it's about, say, 50 cents. So 4.50, 5 euros is just
It's just for the package
package.
and certification.
And so package with certification and everything. So about 5 euros.
About 5 euros.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that is why. While on the bagging box, obviously, the cost of the certification is roughly the same. Instead of 1.5, maybe it may be like 1.70, but then it's divided by 3 liters, not by half a liter.
Ah, yes.
So it's much cheaper.
Because much of the customers doesn't like the bagging box. They prefer the tins. But
Tins is the worst.
is the worst.
Tin is the worst of the worst. There are, first of all, I sent you a paper. They did a very good research from the quality of the olive oil. But even before that, tins are steel, but not stainless steel. It's just regular steel, and then it gets obviously pressed to make it thin. And if you go down at the shop and you buy an empty new tin, you cut in half, you take a piece of white paper, you go around like that, it comes out black, because there are all the mineral oils of machining, and they don't really wash it. So you would need to wash it, but then it's actually rust. Rust start, because it's not stainless steel, so rust starts forming. So I think the tin is really, plus you have oxidation, because as soon as you open it, I mean, if you leave it there for a few months and the air goes inside, so you have everything. It may have transferring some metal into the olive oil, some oxide, oxidation, mineral oils from machining the metals. So
In
tin-
Poland, very popular are the tins of the 5 liter.
Yeah, here as well. In
Yes, as
Tuscany,
well.
everyone wants the tin of 5 liters. It's a battle for me to explain them. It's not a good way to do it, but I mean, everyone is used to the tin and 5 liter half open.
I was reading an article. It was written that after about 6 months, the olive oil inside the tin is not extra virgin. The oxidation and the acidity goes up.
So the quality goes down rapidly.
Okay. So-
I mean, it's the truth.
So the tins are good only for the cookings, for the cook
for the
use,
kitchen.
and using olive oil in the temperature, in the high temperature to cook,
Yeah.
because the temperature kills all the polyphenols and all the vitamins and the other
Right.
things.
For cooking and Italian regulation.
Let me know something about the experience date, because a lot of the customers think that after the date, the olive oil is not good. When you fill each bottle in the gas, the olive oil can be stable after how many months after the
I think so.
the best before date?
Yeah. I think so, definitely. Maybe it doesn't have that flavor, maybe polyphenol will be lower, but definitely still very good olive oil. I mean, at home I use olive oil that I produced in the US. I still have some olive oil I produced like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember. It's still good, not bad.
So perhaps the level of the pungency and the bitterness could
Lower.
be a little bit lower,
Yes.
and the level of the polyphenols could be a little bit lower.
Yes.
But the quality after the best before date is Still
Good.
okay.
Yes.
It's still good.
Still good. If you run analysis on an olive oil and it's still after 1.5 whatever best use by date, and it's still extra virgin olive oil, if you run the analysis, why you cannot sell it anymore? I mean, I understand if you don't run analysis, but if you have a panel saying this is still an extra virgin olive oil, and you run analysis, so I think the solution should be maybe rerun the analysis and change the best buy date, because that date is set when you produce olive oil and you make a prediction, say in 18 months this olive oil is no longer perfect. But if you prove, like with chemistry, that is actually still very good, I think you should be able to change them. They should be allowed to change them.
Yeah.
The problem, these analyses are so expensive every time. I would run analysis on everything, but I mean, I can't do not as much as I would love to, because it's too expensive. Too expensive.
But you told us that you have their own equipment.
Okay. Polyphenols, acidity, and peroxide.
Okay, so you can measure every day.
Every day.
Every
night.
after the production every
After
night.
the production, I go there.
But the results are not official. That's
The
the
results
problem.
are just in.
Is the HPLC method?
Yes.
HPLC.
Cheap.
Cheaper than the Okay.
But yeah, I have to go there. I have my liquid, the tool to make all the samples, and then I put the liquid that makes a chemical reaction, change the color, then they put them in the reader, and the reader gives you the values.
Oh, okay.